Hello friends, project management and planning. This is the topic of our today's presentation. If you are looking for answers to following questions, what is project planning? What exactly is a project plan? How can you create a project plan? And if you want to learn how to create a project plan with a live example, then please watch this video till end wherein I'll show you an example. Okay? Welcome to my channel QAnalysis, and this is your host Prashant Kumar. If you haven't subscribed my channel yet, please feel free to subscribe and don't forget to hit the bell icon so that whenever I publish any new videos, you'll be the first one to notified. So here we go. What is a project plan? A project plan is a format. It is a formal document designed to guide the control and execution of a project. A project plan answers the following basic questions regarding the project: why, what, who, and when. So, friends, on a high level, let's talk about the four important questions which are answered by a project plan. This is why, what are the tasks related with the project, what are the tasks related to the project, why is this project being sponsored, why is this project being initiated, what is the goal, and then we have to figure out what what are the activities required to successfully complete the project, what are the main products or deliverables, and then who will take part in project and what are their responsibilities during the project, how can they organize this different kind of tasks and responsibilities, and how the members who are taking part in this project, how can they be organized, when, what exactly is the project schedule, and when can the milestones be completed. So these are the four questions which every person who is willing to understand or who is willing to create a project plan should know. So if you are a business analyst, if you are a project manager, if you are a product owner, if you are a software developer or a software tester, it is very important for you to understand what is a project plan. And in order to understand this project plan, you have to answer or you have to find answers to these four main questions: why, what, who, and when. Okay, friends? With this, we come on to our next slide, which talks about how to create a project plan. So now we know what exactly is the project plan. But then when it comes to creating a project plan, there are certain different kind of aspects to it. There are various activities involved in creating a project plan. So I'll give you a brief overview of 8 different activities or different 8 stages of project plan, how exactly a plan is created and what are the different stages. So let's talk about those stages in detail. Stakeholder needs. So whenever a project is to be initiated or a project is to be executed, there are certain stakeholders who are involved in it. These stakeholders can be from customers, client, or the business side, or it can be the team which is using different kind of project deliverables, or it can be your end users, or it can be software development team or the management team, or it can be even software testing team or support team or internal um, units or organizations. So different kind of stakeholders. Why exactly they need the project? What is their main goal for having the project? What is the main requirement? What is the main goal for the stakeholders to have this kind of project? That is the first thing which you have to figure out. Then project objectives. What are the different kind of objectives which are supposed to be met once this project is successfully completed? So this is the second thing which you have to figure out, defining the project objectives. So in this one, you figure out what are different objectives, different measurable units, different deliverables, different kind of outputs which are expected out of this project. The third one is calculating the deliverables and due dates. So every project has some deliverables. I till now in my 14 or 15 year of career, I haven't seen any project without any deliverable. So almost each and every project, whenever a project plan is created, For every project, there are certain kind of deliverables. It can be anything. It can be service, it can be a product, it can be any add-on, it can be any kind of information, data, whatsoever. But they need to be there must be a deliverable involved, and then due dates. You have certain kind of deliverables, and this deliverables are to be provided at certain time frame, and that time frame is known as due dates, and then you set on milestones. So you cannot say that you start a project on day 1 and at day 10 or day n you're closing the project. No, you need to set different kind of milestone. That's the same is the case in the normal project management, and same is the case with the agile project management or the sprints. You have certain sprints, so at the end of every sprint you have certain deliverables. Working shippable product is ready, right? So same way in project plan, you have certain deliverables with certain due dates. You have to figure them out. This helps you to formulate your milestones. And then project schedule. Now, project schedule is something which is more to do with the higher level data or high level timelines, which includes right away from the requirement analysis and then finalizing those requirements, getting approval from clients, getting the budget confirmation, and then procuring resources, getting resources, maybe infrastructure related stuff, and then post that actual development, and then software testing, and then implementation, and then support, and then uh, project retrospective and closure. So these are the different kind of activities which are involved from start till end of a project on a high level. And for this, you have to have different kind of dates, and these dates they are covered in the project schedules. There might not be a fixed one variable, but at least you need to have a high level idea of where exactly the schedule is going to be with respect to the kind of task or the different kind of project stages. The fifth one is defining roles and responsibilities. There are so many people involved. There are different kind of stakeholders involved in a project, right? Right away from the requirement users, from gathering requirement, and then you have business analysts, and then you have consultants, and then you might be having external vendors, maybe internal teams, or getting information from the internal teams, or then you have software development, testing, backend, infrastructure management services, and support teams. There are different kind of roles who are involved as a part of software delivery in a project execution. So different kind of roles, who is responsible and what are their responsibilities, you need to define it so that everybody they know what role they are in and what are the responsibilities they have, which they have to execute as a part of their project management process. And then project budget. Yeah, this is very important. As I talked about, depending upon the timelines, depending on the number of resources, depending upon the infrastructure, depending upon the delivery deadlines, there's so many things which a project manager they have to calculate the exact budget amount, or maybe a high level budget idea that this is the amount of budget or the money or resources which he or she would be requiring in order to execute a project. Most of the time it can be a variable project, or it may be a fixed project, fixed price project. So depending upon whichever project it is, you have to come up with the project budget, may it be in person per days, man days, or maybe in terms of dollars per person. What exactly is the cost for one software developer? What is the cost for one business analyst? Cost for one consultant? And cost for, let's say, you have a project in which you have two software developers, $250 per day. You have two software testers, $250 per day, 500 for software developers and software testers, one business consultant for 500. So again, it is 1,500. And then again, you have a project manager for 500, 2,000. Plus you have a team lead, which is again 500. So 2,500. Again, you have, let's say, support engineer for two support engineer for 250, 250. So it becomes almost 3,000. So $3,000 per day is the price of executing project for a single day. And let's say the project is running for 2 months. In 1 month exactly, let's say on approximately you have 20 working days. On 2 months you have 40 working days. 40 working days into 3,000 per day, that would be the exact budget. And on top of it, you will put, there are certain unknown risk, delays plus buffers, so you'll put a little bit of buffer on top. It can be within a range of 5 to 15%, depending upon whatever your client is approving. And then you come up with the overall budget system, which is your project budget. Okay. Then we talk about the communication plan. So how exactly you're going to communicate? Many people they use Jira, many people they use Wiki, Confluence, mailing system, chat channels, or let's say proposal. There could be the Word docs, presentation. There could be so many tools through which you can communicate between different kind of stakeholders and different kind of people who are involved in this project execution. So communication is also a very important part, because if at all there is any failure of communication, there could be duplication of effort, or even misleading communication can lead into failure of the effort, which is very common. And in order to avoid risk, communication is a very important or key player. So if you want to know more about communication thing and different kind of risk in project management, feel free to watch my other presentations. I have done a few webinar on the same thing, project management and risk management thing. Feel free to watch those videos. I'll give the description in my description. I'll give the link, or at the end you can find the links for the videos to the same presentation. I'll attach it. And then on number eight, we have tracking and management tools. So there are different kind of tracking tools and management tools. Nowadays, many people they use Jira or Quality Center or different kind of tools. There are hundreds of tools in the market. It depends upon you, whichsoever you are using. But you need to have a kind of tool which helps you to organize, which helps you to manage and predict the risk and foresee it and help you to execute a project in a very powerful and effective manner. Like, you need to interact with the stakeholders, you need to communicate with different kind of roles and responsibilities, you need to identify the objectives and work on the same line, figure out the dates, delivery, work according to your schedule, meet the timelines, and then within the project budget you have to come up. So this is the responsibility of the project manager or product owner, to come up with all kind of things, manage everything. And any tool, something like Jira, is very helpful in tracking and putting a lot of information and value add to a project management role. So these are the 8 different kind of activities which are involved in creating a successful project plan or a nice project plan. So now we know two things. We know what exactly is a project plan and how can you create a project plan. These two things are very much clear to us. I'm going to, in my next slide, I'm going to give you a live presentation about how exactly can you prepare a sample project plan. So let's see how can you prepare a sample project plan using all these activities which I mentioned over here. So friends, here we are on my Confluence page. So Confluence is one of the wiki kind of stuff by Atlassian. And as you know, most of you would be aware of Jira and Confluence. So in my team, I use Confluence for creating project plans. It can be anything. You can do the same thing on Word document or any other tool. Feel free to use it. But I'm over here, I'm using Confluence with a kind of example wherein I'll give you a format, a sample of project plan, which will help you to create one of your own. Okay, friends? So here we go. So this is my space, this is me. And all I need to do is to click on create. As soon as you click on create, and you can search down and you can see something which is known as project plan. Click here and click on select project plan and click on create. As soon as you click on create, so it will open up a new page for you, which would be project plan page. For me, I have already created a project plan. So this is the project plan which I have created, and here it is. So this is a sample one which I'm using just for reference. Over here, you can give the name of whatever is the version and name of your project plan. Feel free to mention it over here. Then the first thing which is we are going to talk about is what is the driver, approver, contributors, informed stakeholder, and status. So what is the current status? It can be in draft, it can not yet started, whatever you want, you can put it in progress, in process, completed, about to be completed, whatever, it depends upon you. At different phases, this status keep on changing. And driver is a person who is driving this whole project. Approver is somebody who is approving your budget, and then contributors, the key stakeholders who are contributing to your project plan, and then informed stakeholders are those one to whom you are going to share this project plan. And then you talk about your goal, what exactly is the problem statement, what is your goal, and what problem is being solved by this project which you are going to implement, which you're proposing to be implemented. What is the exact problem which you're planning to solve using this? It can be anything. It can be your goal, it can be your objective. It depends. You can rename it as per your convenience. So here is the problem statement. Define the problem statement, type the hypothesis, whatever hypothesis you are proposing, and then the background. What is the background? Do you have any data or insight to support the project? Have you done any kind of research work? Measure of success. How exactly are you going to measure the success? What are the key matrices? So in my upcoming video, maybe in the next one, if you really like this video, just put in your comments whatever questions you have. Depending on that, I'll come up with a new video in which I'll explain you what are the different kind of matrices through which you can measure the success of a project. Okay, friends, so this is what you will put over here, and then we talk about the scope. So a scope can be divided into three areas: must have, nice to have, and not in a scope. Must have is something which is as a part of project implementation, you have to do it, you're proposing that you will do it. And then nice to have is something which is an add-on. Like for example, you have 10 requirements. Out of 10 requirements, 8 requirements are must have, you have to do it. Two of them, you, depending upon the bandwidth, depending upon your budget, depending upon the timelines and the resources availability, you may or may not do it. Depends upon what all these factors which are variable. No, they're not the fixed one. And then last one is not in a scope. You don't have to worry about this one because this is something which is strictly mentioned at the time of planning itself that they are not in scope. Then we talk about the budget. Budget is very important. You have to come up with different kind of dates. These are the dates, like for many projects, what they do depending upon the milestones. Like if the previous milestone is achieved, then only the budget for the next milestone or the next upcoming project stage, the budget for the upcoming one is released. So you have to come up with the dates and description. What are the description? What are the things which you're doing? What are the cost for the item? So along with the timelines, you have to discuss the brief overview of what are the items which and what are the costs associated and how much money, approximately money, are you willing to invest, which you need from your customers. So all these things are to be mentioned over here. Then it is timeline. You have to talk about the timeline. Timeline thingy you can edit. You can add a new lane like this. You can add new bar, and you can still just move it ahead. That shouldn't be a problem. So depending upon your timeline, you can add different kind of markers. Like this is the markers. You can add different markers, and then you can view by weeks. You can view by month. These are the different things which you can do. So I'll leave it up to you to experiment and figure out, like, let's say you start a project and it goes for 4 weeks in the initiation phase, and then for next 4 weeks it goes on some other ways, or you start for mobile app, Android, first 4 week requirement analysis and business requirement finalization for Android mobile, and then next 4 week for desktop or whatsoever. So it depends upon you how exactly you do it and what exactly you do it. You can insert it. I'll show you more about how to insert anything like table or any kind of widget or any kind of macros which you are interested to insert, how exactly you can do it. You can do it via here. So here you can insert files, links, symbols, or informations, different kind of status. What are the Jira status, table of contents, Trello board. Many people, they use Trello board as white paper board wherein you stick your sticky notes with different kind of requirement that can also be inserted over here. You have a list of other macros. So you can select anything from here, like you can have attachments, you can have charts, different kind of project-based chart, and then You can create something from your own template, activity stream, you can have agile whiteboard. So there are a lot many options which you can put in depending upon, you can customize this format based upon your requirement. So it's totally depending upon you. So after timeline, we talk about the milestone and the deadlines. So as soon as you have the timelines, with respect to every timeline, you need to have a deadline. And by that deadline, you need to have certain kind of deliverables. Who will be the owner for it? What is the deadline? What is the status? And then you can put in some notes, remarks. So this is the way you define milestones and deadlines. You propose it. The next one is roles and responsibilities. As I talked about different kind of roles and responsibilities which are involved in the project execution, you have to mention all those roles, like let's say a team lead, development lead, a test lead, and then a support engineer, or maybe business consultant. What are different kind of roles who are responsible in completely successfully executing the project, and then what are the responsibilities and how exactly they are going to perform. Means will it be individual performance or team based, or may it be any other external vendors. So whatever it is, you'll put in over here. All this information will be put across this role and responsibility section. Then we talk about communication and tracking and management. So when it comes to communication, as I mentioned earlier, communication could be in any way, like it can be Outlook email, or it can be any kind of chat, or maybe Word document or some kind of proposals. Whatsoever it is, you can go ahead and attach any kind of attachments which you want. So you see, you go here and other macros, and you can select this and it will give you any kind of attachment, whatever you want. You can get it attached over here. There shouldn't be a problem. You can attach. You can also attach, insert any kind of links, like external link wherein you have some information or some kind of repository information, that also can be mentioned over here. Same with the tracking management. Tracking management, you can put in, I generally what I do for tracking, I put in Trello board, or I put this agile wallboard gadget. So it gives me every information, or this activity stream, what exactly folks are doing and how Jiras are moving, what is the status and who is working on what. Every information we put in Jira, and that is executed over here, that is put over here. You can also put in different kind of high level test cases scenario over here for communication, or business scenarios. You can put it over here for the communication. At last, different kind of reference materials. These reference materials can be your user studies, which you use for preparing your studies, or it could be any kind of, let's say, um, any kind of results, or your findings, or maybe any kind of approvals, or let's say something which you want to share, your minutes of meeting, something which you have discussed and you want to share it with everyone. All those links, all those references, any external study material can be put over here as a part of reference material. So this is an example of sample project plan which you can use for creating your own project plan. Okay, friends? So feel free to let me know if you want to have a more informative session on any of the topics which I have covered as a part of this session. Anything which you don't understand, feel free to comment and ask your question. I'll do my best to answer your questions. And if you really like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.